And we're back with you to take a look at our ag commodity trade here on a Tuesday. And we'll bring in a little extra guest analytical help here as well, if you don't mind, in the form of Brian Hoops. He is president of Midwest Market Solutions, and he's based in Springfield, Missouri. And he joins us right now. Brian, thanks for being a part of the program here. Just had some brand new information just as I was walking into the set here. New info from USDA. It's a day late, most people would say, because we had a holiday yesterday, but it's export inspections numbers. They came out today. Remember, we get the crop progress numbers later on today too. So if we can, let's take a look at these export inspections numbers. The corn came in at 524,168 tons this week. That compares to last week's 853,700. So a definite drop there. Sorghum, that thing really chops around. They had a really good week this week after a really bad week last week. 117,000 tons this time. Look at the soybean number. Excuse me, 1.48 million tons, and last week under 900,000, so a definite step up there. And of course, these are inspections of shipments that left the U.S. The wheat, 350,000 tons. Last week was 718,000 tons. Brian, I don't know if you can take much away from these numbers here as far as the market reaction, and especially when you're looking at the market about 2 days ahead of a major USDA report coming out for the crop production.
Yeah, these numbers really should have very little effect on the market. We're looking at a couple different things. You know, strong export to sales number this morning to China for soybeans, once again, giving us some strength in the soybean market. Crop progress numbers will be out a day late, just like the inspections were. They'll be out this afternoon. We look for, soybeans to be in that 32-35% harvested range, 25% on the corn. Winter wheat planting should advance to nearly half the crop being planted, probably a little bit short of that. But that is kind of the driving force in today's market activity. We're looking ahead to Thursday's supply and demand reports, really not expecting much in the way of changes from the government on those reports as well. So, it's a kind of a choppy affair, especially in this corn market. We just cannot seem to get anything going. We're in a 5-10 cent trading range over the last 30 days. And until we get bigger yield numbers or more of the yield numbers, it's unlikely we're going to establish any type of a trend until we do.
Well, this morning, let's take a look at our futures trade. We had a firmer tone in most contracts this morning. We had the corn about a penny higher after the open, and that's all kind of evaporated as it tends to get real quiet once again. We're unchanged now on December corn at 349.5, so back under 350. It had been just a hair over it earlier today. March unchanged at 362 3/4. Let's look at that soybean trade, and on the soybeans, they really firmed up after that overnight export sale reported 130,000 tons to China. We jumped up about 7 or 8 cents early on the day, and then now it's settled back to about 3.5 higher on November at 970 1/4 per bushel. January up 3.5 at 980 3/4. On the wheat trade, let's look at Chicago and Kansas City, where we have December Chicago wheat now at 436.5. It's come off of its high by about 3 cents now. Now only a half cent higher on the day. July actually a half lower. On the Kansas City market, we currently have December there trading a penny higher at 431 3/4. July up a penny and a half. And in Minneapolis wheat, it had been trading higher with the others, but it turned around and now it's slightly weaker. We have December down a penny at 622 1/4. And July is back to unchanged at 647. That's 4 cents off of its earlier high. And if you look at the cotton market right now, on the December contract, we have it trading 75 higher, now at 69.70 per pound. Brian, we'll bring you back here in a little bit. I want to ask you about the financial markets, a lot going on there, and then the livestock trade too when we come back right after this. And we're back with you talking with Brian Hoops. He's the president of Midwest Market Solutions in Springfield, Missouri. And Brian, big moves in the dollar value. It really dropped today after the Dow Jones Industrial Average surged out of the gate this morning, then settled back a little bit. Lots of volatility going on here. Let's take a closer look. Right now, the dollar index down almost 500 points. We have December futures at 93.010. That's down 490 points. If you look at the crude oil trade today, it went the other direction, and November crude on West West Texas crude up $1.24 at $50.82 per barrel. That's close to the high of the day. Quite a turnaround there, about $1.30 off its earlier low. I think we have the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It opened up about 70 points higher this morning. Last time we checked, it was up about 30. Now we're 44 higher, now 45 higher at 22,805. Just, I wanted to point this out, Brian, because everybody's focusing on the flow of the money. You know, where is the money going these days? And with the dollar declining like that, does that signal a change in maybe the investor money out there?
Well, you know, you can certainly trace the dollar dropping off of its overnight highs and trading lower to what's happening in the wheat market. We were lower yesterday and again overnight. And once that dollar started to break, the wheat market really started to firm. And this comes despite a little bit of negative news that Egypt is in the market for wheat again, and they are buying Russian wheat, shunning the U.S. because of high prices. And despite that, the wheat market has started to firm up just because the dollar is starting to break as well. As far as money moving into these commodities, there's not been a lot moving into corn or wheat for that matter, but there's certainly a lot of fund money flowing into the cattle market right now as we're pushing into contract highs in some of those deferred contracts.
Well, that's a good point. Let's take a look at where they now stand on the cattle market today. Yesterday, they made some contract highs and backed away. Today, now they're maybe pushing through them here, Brian. We have the December live cattle up $1.36 at 118.28, so all of a sudden triple-digit strength here. February up 117 at 122.32, just a dime from our high of the day. We're off our low by over $1.30 now. On the feeder cattle trade, let's switch over there. We have the October up 87, November 92 higher at 156.42, January up 87 at 154.62, so there wasn't much to drive the market earlier. What got into the cattle trade right now here?
Well, there's a couple things underneath the surface here that are really positive for this cattle market. You know, we had a report that came out as for our exports for the month of August, 14% improvement above year-ago levels. And that is really going to be key because we have much larger supplies of cattle to deal with. Weights have been increasing and numbers are larger than a year ago. But if we can export that much more cattle, 14% export improvement over a year to date, that's going to go a long way in our cattle market here. And so we're finding some strength there. I fully expected we'd see some deliveries against October cattle last night as we got into first notice day. And we did not have any deliveries, and that is seen as positive for this market. You can see October is the leader of this pack here this morning. October is gaining the most against any of those other contracts. Cutout values were higher last night. So there's some underlying demand factors right now that I think is driving the cattle market and forcing some fund money into the prices. And
the lean hogs have really added to where they have been trading. Let's take a look there as well. On the lean hog trade in Chicago, we're 93 higher on December at 61.88 per hundredweight. February up 88 at 67.70, so it's an up day on the hogs. They tend to gyrate around. Thanks, Brian, for the comments. Appreciate it very much.
Good talking with you. Thank you.
Brian Hoops, President of Midwest Market Solutions.
Yeah, all-time high in the Dow again today. You showed that, up a little bit off of that high, but 22,850, another all-time high. How about that?
Yep.
Thanks, Marlon.